Sacramento Kings training camp has begun. I'll tell you what it was like inside the Sacramento Kings practice facility. Plus, you asked for it. I'm giving it to you. Bonus Media Day content right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all regular season and all offseason. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports reporter and producer for ABC 10 News. And I got to tell you, vibes around training camp and day one of training camp, there's always excitement, there's always energy, there's always hustle, and there's always some players that are maybe experiencing a bit of a wake-up call to the league again. Not that any Sacramento Kings players came into training camp out of shape. In fact, quite the opposite, as far as I understand from what I saw, the conversations that I had, what others in training camp with the team have said. The Kings are in very good shape at this time, but there's a difference between being in shape, staying fit and working out and doing individual work and even playing pickup games during the offseason, and then actually getting in an NBA gym, running sprints all day and getting back into NBA basketball shape. And by the time that myself and the other reporters were welcomed into the practice facility at the very, very end of practice, this team was gassed. They were tired, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that we heard Mike Brown saying, look, they're going to try and play fast. They're going to get up and down, play with hustle, play with energy. That energy was palpable walking into the gym. We're walking through the tunnel. We go into a different entrance. It's not like the main Golden One Center entrance. There's a side entrance by kind of like the Kings ticket office. And there's a back hallway that leads you. It's like a long corridor with a bunch of waters and Gatorades that are just piled in boxes on the side. And it takes you into the practice facility itself. And it's this long corridor, and the practice facility doors most of the time open, sometimes closed, but it was open today at the end of the hall. And as soon as we entered that hallway from the room that we were in, you could just hear whistles, you could hear yelling, you could hear clapping, you could hear cheering, you could hear heavy breathing. Like, it was an energetic room, to say the absolute least, inside the practice facility. And we walked in right as the Kings were doing full court, like sprint layup finishing drills. So we walk in, we set up our camera, and De'Aaron Fox is sprinting the full length of the floor, getting a layup, followed by Keegan Murray, followed by Domantas Sabonis. All these guys running the floor, getting layups, and they're trying to score, I believe, as many layups as they could within a specific time limit, running up and down each end of the floor. And that was followed up by a drill, or a kind of an old school way to end a practice that shouldn't have taken as long as it did. And there might be some people that look at it taking a long time as a concern. The object behind this drill was for 3 straight Sacramento Kings players to step to the free throw line with the rest of the team on the baseline and make 2 free throws in a row consecutively, back to back to back. So 6 straight free throws made by 3 different players. And if a player missed, the whole team ran a sprint to the other baseline and back, and then they did it again, selected a new player and did it again. Well, this drill lasted way too long, and a lot of guys were missing free throws. I saw Domantas Sabonis, I think, miss his first free throw. De'Aaron Fox, I believe, missed his second free throw. Kevin Huerter missed his second free throw. The Kings basically went through their starters and the 2, 3, 4 guys that we expect to get a lot of playing time coming off the bench, and very few of them were able to hit 2 free throws consecutively. And when one player did hit 2 consecutively, I think Davion Mitchell was one of the guys to hit 2 in a row consecutively, then the guy behind him would make one and miss the other, and they'd have to restart and do it all over again. It went so long that Mike Brown actually ended up cutting a deal for the Kings players. And I'm actually getting ahead of myself a little bit, because all the coaches are there razzing and trying to keep the energy up, but also, talking the players and trying to give them as much of a adversary environment as they possibly could. Look, it's a no-pressure environment really in practice compared to during an actual NBA game, but at the same time, too, there is the pressure of if I miss a free throw, my entire team has to run because I missed the free throw, and the coaches were enjoying adding to that pressure, although some of them, Bobby Jackson, head coach of the Stockton Kings, of course, Sacramento Kings legend, was actually doing the sprints at one point up and down the floor with the rest of the team. As the drill kept going on, he just said, fine, you know what, I'm going to run with them. But Mike Brown offers a deal. This is after about 7 or 8 missed free throws. Again, spread out, not from just one guy. 7 or 8 missed free throws and 7 or 8 sprints back and forth. And this team by this point, guys, they're gassed. They're exhausted. A lot of these free throws have no legs underneath them. And Alex Len is not, like, the way it was working was Coach Brown would pass the ball to a player and say, all right, it's your turn to shoot free throws. Well, by this point, we'd almost gone through the entire Kings training camp roster, and they just come back from running sprints, and Alex Len walks to the free throw line himself, isn't picked, just says, you know what, I'm going to make these shots. And Coach Brown sees this and stops everybody and says, look, I'm going to cut you a deal. If Alex Len hits both of these free throws, we are done, and the coaches have to run the sprints. If Alex misses one of the free throws, then they had to do 3 sets of sprints, followed by another player then shooting free throws. And the team took a little time to talk it over. They made the deal. They trusted in Alex Len, and Alex steps up to the free throw line, and he buries both free throws. He hit them both. High-pressure situation for the big man there. He gets a huge round of applause and a lot of love, a lot of high fives from his teammates who are happy just to not be running sprints anymore. Meanwhile, the entire coaching staff, including head coach Mike Brown, ran sprints up and down the floor. It was really cool to see. I guess I could spin it as, oh, should I be concerned that the Sacramento Kings were missing so many free throws? I'm not going there yet. Like, would I have liked to see the Kings hit more free throws consecutively? Sure. And at one point, Mike Brown just stopped them and go, guys, we're asking you to make 2 free throws in a row. We're not asking that much of you. But at the same time, like I said, these guys were gassed. They had just had a practice that went very long, by the way. We were told to show up for a media availability at like 11:30 or something like that, and we didn't get in there until 1 o'clock. Like, practice went long. These guys were working, and by the time we got in there, they were tired. And when I tell you these free throws didn't have a lot of legs underneath them, a lot of them were short or missing to the side. They were tired. And so I'm not too freaked out or too worried by the free throw struggles for the Sacramento Kings. In fact, I felt bad for them with how many sprints they ended up having to run at the end of practice. After that was done, they kind of broke up into individual work where the entire team did some free throws, and then Keegan Murray went off and started shooting threes. So did Keon Ellis. He went off, started shooting threes. Davion Mitchell went to the back. I don't know if he did weights or what he did, then came back out and started working individually with Doug Christie, assistant coach Doug Christie, another Kings legend. And then we started talking to a couple players and to head coach Mike Brown, which you're going to hear in a second. But Keegan was working on the far side of the floor from us and was working on 3-pointers. Apparently, he took 153 pointers, and he made 117 of them. That's 78%. And he told us that his goal was 75% or better. So the rookie was able to do that, which is, of course, a fantastic sign. Now, let's get into what I think you're here for, which is hearing from the Kings. Mike Brown, Kevin Huerter, and Keegan Murray. Those are the 3 that we spoke to at training camp day 1 here. I'm going to play them consecutively for you, the best answers and the best questions from their pressers, starting with Sacramento Kings head coach Mike Brown.
I feel like our communication, our connectivity, especially in the offseason, has been great, and it's carried over to today too.
Watching you guys run, how much is that going to be part of what you guys are this year running?
We got one of the fastest guys, arguably, in the game, in the history of the game when you talk about De'Aaron Fox. And so we got to play to his strength. Davion is extremely fast with the basketball. So we want to get out and run. But not only do we want to get out and run, we also don't want to give up easy baskets, too. So we got to get our behinds back in defense when it comes to transition defense as well.
How different was today's first practice of training camp versus other stops where you've been as a head coach?
This was, in my opinion, probably a little better because just like you guys, I'm sure you'd say at 22, you weren't as good as you were at 29, and you didn't have the same plan. And so I'd hope to think it would be a little bit better.
You've talked a lot about defining roles. Do you come into camp with a decent idea of the roles that you want for these guys?
Yeah, everybody's had an individual player development meeting already in the off season. So everybody has a general feel of what we are looking for from each guy individually, hopefully coinciding with what our team goals are.
And with the talk of pace and a lot of guards or smaller guys on this team, do you anticipate some decent amount of small ball lineups?
We'll see. They got to earn it. You got to earn the right to be on the floor.
In your first press conference, you talked a lot about organization having a soul. What is the soul like here in day one so far?
It's been good. Like I told you, the connectivity is good. Guys are trying to be together and bring each other together. Everybody's trying to uplift one another. I laid out our values and our principles. Everybody's been good with that so far, and everybody's embracing what we're trying to do, what we're trying to ask them to do. So that's all you can ask for right now, and over time, we'll see if it continues, especially when you hit adversity. I've been fortunate, blessed, lucky, however you want to call it, to be a part of 6 finals with 3 different teams, once as a head coach. And every single time that happened, you face adversity through the course of the year. And so how do you handle that is going to be big for us.
Can you simulate
2 more questions,
adversity
please.
at all in training camp or in these practice scenarios? Can you simulate some of that adversity, or is that just game time stuff?
You can simulate a little bit, those pressure free throws and those guys missing it, how they respond. Are they going to start cursing their teammates that missed the free throws, or are they going to support them and be together, which they were at the end? I don't even know what Alex shot from the free throw line last year, but all of them supported him and said, yeah, let's take that deal.
Day one of practice was how training camp usually is, high intensity. Went long, threw a lot at us, obviously, got after each other. It was a good day.
Do you feel today came, it's obviously the first kind of experience. Do you feel like this kind of gives you a good expectation of what to expect in the coming weeks?
Yeah, it is. It's the beginning of obviously a long process, a long preseason. It's going to be a long week. This is how training camp usually is. You just got to lock in and get through it.
Is there something that needs to feel different a week from today as you kind of go through the process?
Yeah, hopefully our rhythm is a little bit better defensively, offensively. Right now it's still a little bit chunky. They're throwing a lot at us. Defensively, we're figuring out our coverages, figuring out our communication. So hopefully a week from now we're just more on the same page.
Are you able to learn anything after 1 day of practice?
Not really. These first day, it's always high intensity. It's physical. Guys have a lot of energy. Guys are excited to get going. It's really going to matter how we feel on Thursday, how we feel on Saturday, and obviously how we feel first preseason game.
Kevin, you had a good vibe in Atlanta, and you felt a certain way when you got traded here. Now that you're settling in here and forming new relationships, how do you feel about being in Sacramento?
I feel really good. I think it's a really good opportunity, not only for me individually, but obviously as a team. Team that's trying to win, team that's trying to turn it around. Play at a really high level. I like the personnel we have here, so I'm really excited about it.
Do you see this as a bigger opportunity for you to be maybe a little bit more of a scorer than you have been in previous years?
It could be, it could be, but I'm ready for any opportunity, just trying to win.
You said you guys are learning to play together offensively. What do you think the potential is for this group to be together?
Potentially, really no reason for us offensively not to be towards the top of the league on that end of the court. Just the personnel we have, and guys who can just go one-on-one matchups, guys who can space the floor for those people. I think we got a lot of different guys that do a lot of different things, and just putting them all together.
Since you've been here, who's the ultimate gym rat, and who's the first person in and the last person out?
Harrison's a gym rat. His schedule changes. Davion's been a gym rat. Terence Davis has been a gym rat. These are guys you kind of come in and you see usually right off the bat. So it's been really good, honestly. Everybody's been in the gym. Guys have different schedules. There's certain guys who like coming in the morning, getting it done, getting out quick, and guys are like coming in a little bit later in the day and getting out later in the day. So everybody's been in the gym. That's something that for me has been really nice to see.
It was fun. It was good to get up and down. Good to have everyone here in an organized situation. So it was a good time. I'm excited for the rest of training camp.
What kind of nerves you feel when you got to make a couple of free throws, otherwise the entire team's running?
No, it wasn't nerves. It just went in and out. So no nerves on that one.
Is this another welcome to the NBA moment, or just basketball practice?
For me, it was just basketball practice. I feel like my welcome to the NBA moment's kind of past at this point, but I'm just excited to compete and be out here.
Anything today that happened that maybe you didn't expect or anticipate?
I think the energy, I knew that Coach Brown was going to bring energy. That's exactly what he did, so I was happy to see that, because that's not something that you normally get out of a head coach. So I thought that was pretty cool how he just connected with his players today.
Has anyone taken as their vet? Any vet taking you as their rookie yet?
Nah, it's pretty much everyone across the board at this point. So, I mean, at some point, I'm sure someone would take it into their hands. So,
Is there anything you can take from playing alongside like Luka Garza and translate that to playing with Sabonis?
yeah, I think just cutting. Luka played out of the post a lot, and I got a lot of my points my freshman year off of cutting and when he got doubled or when he had his back to the basket and stuff like that. So for me, it's just trying to get in tune with Sabonis right now and just trying to form a connection there.
Keegan, are you getting a sense of like what might be given to you or what has to be earned now that you're full-fledged in the NBA?
Everything has to be earned for me. I'm not taking anything for granted. I know nothing's going to come easy for me here or when we play the other NBA teams. So I know that I have to earn everything that I'm given, and I'm willing to work for that.
Are you getting comfortable?
Yeah. I feel like I can call this place home now in Sacramento, and I'm comfortable in the locker room with the guys and just being able to talk to them. And it's kind of progressed a lot since the first time I've been here. So I'm excited to see where relationships go, where connections go, and how this team bonds.
So there you go. That gives you an idea of what happened in day one of Sacramento Kings training camp. I will say we didn't really see any scrimmages or anything like that. And also, this was a 2-a-day practice day for the Kings, meaning they had their morning practice that we went to, that went to the early afternoon, then they came back and did a night practice later today. I don't know if they're always going to have 2-a-days or if it was just a day one thing or what Mike Brown is doing, but we didn't get to come back for night availability. There was no availability for that, and we didn't see any scrimmages, so we didn't see any lineups. The best thing I could tell you is that some had black pennies on, some had like whitish gray pennies on, like Fox had a black one, Sabonis had a black one, Davion Mitchell had a white one, Malik Monk had a white one, Kevin Huerter had a black one, I believe. So maybe that signifies lineups. Not so sure, but we didn't see any scrimmages or any 5-on-5 or anything like that, so nothing to answer any of those questions. But I did see a lot of you commenting on yesterday's podcast, which was my in-depth Media Day, Kings Media Day podcast, asking for me to play more clips and some of the sound from other players that I didn't get to. So you are going to hear from Harrison Barnes, Kent Bazemore, Matthew Delavedova, Terence Davis, and Trey Lyles here with some bonus Media Day content coming up after I tell you about a great sponsor here of the Locked On Kings podcast. I'm talking about betonline.net. BetOnline is the number one place for all your sports gambling, the absolute best odds, the best lines, the best way to keep track of not just sports betting, but sports period. BetOnline is a fantastic interface. Their live in-game betting is a ton of fun, whether it's right now with the NFL or college football. Once NBA season starts, even preseason basketball starts, you can bet on that, college basketball as well. Right now, they have a bunch of really cool and fun future and prop bets surrounding the Sacramento Kings, surrounding like Keegan Murray winning Rookie of the Year, some really good odds on that. BetOnline has the best odds that you're going to find anywhere, and BetOnline makes it more than possible to use your Kings fandom and your Kings knowledge to make yourself some really good money. So go and check out BetOnline. You can also bet on like the MLB going on right now. MLB playoffs are right around the corner. If you're into like MMA, boxing, golf, you can bet on all of that and more. Check it out and make some money at BetOnline, where the game starts. You asked, I listened, and there were a couple players that I did not get to on yesterday's Kings Media Day podcast, and so I thought I'd bring them to you here. And we'll start with a important one who I left off, who noticeably I left off. A lot of you were sending in questions wondering why in the world I didn't have Harrison Barnes on yesterday's show or any of Harrison Barnes' sound from yesterday's show. So here is Harrison Barnes from Media Day. One of the first quotes is him talking about being one of the oldest and longest tenured guys on the Kings.
We have a group of guys who have a mix of experience, but for the most part, everyone's young, hungry, and has something to prove. So although I'm the oldest guy, I think it's me and Fox are the longest tenured guys, right? I'm going to my 4th full season, so I think we have a lot of people here who are excited about, trying to make a statement really for the community of Sacramento.
Of course, the playoff drought is a storyline and maybe to some Sacramento Kings members a motivation for this team. Harrison Barnes addressed that playoff drought and whether or not there are teammates of his and maybe himself using that as motivation.
For sure. I mean, it's not only just the playoff drought. I think it's guys want to experience the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people here who have played in the playoffs or who played at a high level, whether it was in college or wherever, and the postseason is a lot of fun. So I think more than anything, guys want that experience, and they know how much of a catalyst that can be for all things basketball related.
And last season, we all know, was a terrible season, not just for the Sacramento Kings, but for Harrison Barnes too. And Harrison talks about things remembered from last season, how much they're focusing on last season versus just a clean slate this year.
I think you just look around. I mean, you can't take there's only a certain amount of people who were here last year who know what that experience is like, right? Everyone else comes from something else, right? Whether it's Kevin coming from Atlanta, whether it's Malik coming from LA, whether it's Kent coming from LA, whether it's Keegan coming from college. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are coming with different mindsets and philosophies. So, last year it is what it is. This is a new year. Everyone starts off 0-0, so it's on us to make the most of this opportunity.
I'm very excited that Kent Bazemore is back here in Sacramento. He's excited too, and he started his press conference talking about how much he likes the direction that the Sacramento Kings team and organization is going.
Well, I think the organization is moving in an amazing direction as far as kind of the roster turnover. Getting Sabonis in here was huge. I had the privilege to play with Kevin Huerter when he was in Atlanta, Malik Monk last year. Trey Lyles had a great summer. It's so much talent. We're a very, very deep team. I think Mike Brown brings the wisdom. Being in the league for 31 years, he has kind of a bird's eye view of what it takes to win championship basketball, and I feel like he's articulating well enough to kind of cover everyone. Myself and Harrison being in the league this our 11th season, and then to a guy like Keegan, who's a rookie. I think everyone's kind of buying into that. We had a very, very productive meeting last night, and we're all looking forward to it. I think the city is looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming. The collective energy of the city, the organization, the player, the team, and everyone involved we're moving in the right direction.
Ken Bazemore also had some great things to say about individual defense and, more importantly, team defense.
Yes, I think when we talk about defense in the NBA, there's a lot of misconception with how it's viewed. A lot of defenses, how well the team is, together, the togetherness of a team. Am I going to sacrifice, for my teammate? Am I going to have my teammates back? If my guy get beat, am I going to be low man? If my teammate turns the ball over, am I going to sprint back and make a play for him? Those are all winning plays. I mean, championship mentality plays, next play mentality. Those are the things that we're going to have as the Sacramento Kings this year to kind of get over the hump. I've echoed this. This is just kind of my message. The more talented teams can play well for 3.5 quarters, but the last 6 minutes, the team that's together is the one that's going to prevail. And I think if we're together, we can eke out 4, 5, 6 games down the stretch to really help us position ourselves in the place to really make a push when the time's right.
Matthew Delavedova was one of the late offseason signings for the Sacramento Kings. No idea if he's going to make the roster or not, but we do know he brings championship experience from his time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we do know that when he was a rookie, his head coach in Cleveland was Mike Brown, and he talks about that relationship that he has with Coach Brown.
I think it's his attention to detail, and I was lucky enough to have him my rookie season, and he really taught, defensively so well and really gave me a great base, understanding of how to play NBA defense, and I think that's really helped me throughout my whole career to have that great start because, not a lot of coaches are so detail-oriented, and to be able to get that right at the beginning, provides a solid base. So I think that's the biggest thing that I probably took from him my rookie season.
Delavedova also shared his first opinions of De'Aaron Fox and actually playing with De'Aaron Fox in person. What surprised him?
He's a lot stronger than I realized, and he's lean, and obviously everyone knows I knew how fast he was, but he's really strong. He's got a very solid base, and I didn't know that. And he's obviously been playing well in the pickup, getting to the rim, shooting the ball well, but I didn't know he was that strong.
Before Terence Davis got hurt last season, he was putting together the best run of basketball, not just as his time as a Sacramento King, but in his entire career. It was an unfortunate injury. And one of the things that I remember asking and talking to Terence about last year at Media Day was getting more consistent. So I brought that back up, asking him how he feels he's done over the last year of being more consistent. And he gave a really long, thoughtful answer where he starts off talking about the consistency, but then also goes into what his role was last year and how he felt he did some really, really good things despite the limited minutes that he was playing.
That's still something, that I have to show. But, within my work ethic this summer, I feel like I've been consistent with my work. And with my work ethic, getting up at 6 a.m., I live in El Dorado. I have to drive 30 minutes to the gym. So I have to wake up early to work out at 7. I've been in the gym at 7 a.m., so I have to get up at 6. And that's discipline, and with discipline comes consistency. So within my work ethic, I think I've been very consistent and, just hoping it correlates to the court. But with that being said, with time, obviously, last season I was, plug and play here, probably 25 minutes here, 10 minutes there, things of that sort. It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's not an excuse, but for anyone, it's kind of hard to be consistent when, your minutes is like that. But I would touch on this, man. Being that I only played 30 games, I feel like I had a decent showing within the amount of minutes I played. I think I played an average of 17, 18 minutes a game. And I think I kind of fulfilled that role of coming off the bench, being electric, bringing energy and things of that sort. Probably one of the few guys in the NBA, if not the only guy in the NBA that played less than 20 minutes a game and every double-figure scoring, a couple things of that sort. So it's just something you have to embrace. Being that you're playing this amount of minutes here and this amount of minutes there. So, it's tough, but, being in the NBA is tough. So
finally, Trey Lyles was one of the acquisitions for the Kings at the trade deadline last season, and he quickly carved out a starting role for himself here in Sacramento. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a long-term or short-term role for him here. Is he going to be the starting four for the Kings? He's competing for that spot, and Trey talks about the competition at training camp.
As a competitor, that's what you want. Personally, I don't want anything handed to me. I want to go out there and earn it. So I think, for everybody on the team, this training camp is going to be a great situation for us to go out there and compete against one another and compete together. And that's just going to make us better as a team, as a unit.
Finally, vocal leadership has been a topic of conversation for a while surrounding the Sacramento Kings. So I asked Trey about the vocal leadership on this team, whether he is one of the vocal leaders and who are the ones that are stepping up vocally in that role.
Me, I'm not very vocal, like I said earlier, but I'm going to try and step out of my comfort zone this year a little bit. But no, we got guys like HB, he's been around, he's won championships, so he knows what it takes. Kent, just got here, he's very vocal, the little bit that I've seen of him. Deli, he's been around, he's won a championship. So, I think we have guys that have been in the situation that know what it takes and, that are willing to teach the young guys. That's what always helps, when a team has older guys that's willing to, help the younger guys. So I think, with the guys that we have, we're headed in the right direction.
There are others from Media Day that we did speak to that I still haven't played audio of. One of the reasons for that is for timing purposes. Another reason for that is just because I didn't think it was worthy of the podcast, really. But there is a ton of great stuff out there still for you to find. And I appreciate all of you who asked for more bonus content here, bonus Media Day content here on Locked On Kings. I hope that is what you were looking for. And I hope you will stick around for the remainder of this week and the remainder of training camp. I will continue to attend training camp practice availabilities. I'll bring you inside as best I can, let you know what I'm seeing, what I'm picking up on, any conversations that I am having. But overall, I wouldn't say the training camp vibes this year are particularly any different than years past, right? And it's easy to get fired up and excited by training camp and things like that. Ultimately, over the limited time that we get to actually attend training camp through the remainder of this week and the next couple of weeks, I just want to see the team get better. I want to see the team improve, whether that's just as a free throw shooting team, I suppose, with what we saw today, or just more in shape where these drills aren't tiring them out as much. Maybe it's Keegan Murray hitting 125 out of 150 three-pointers instead of just 117, and I can't believe I'm saying just 117 because that's still 78 freaking percent, which is really impressive for a rookie. But whatever happens, I will take you inside training camp as best as I can, share with you what I am seeing from training camp, so I hope you will stick with me right here on Locked On Kings. Until next time, my name is Matt George. You have been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.